almal, dis Juffrou Nagel en vandag doen ons 10 haikus vir Vredefort Koepel. So we're doing this poem, and just to add that this poem is like quite exceptionally long, it's 10 haikus to make one whole poem. So usually I would look at like the poem first and the typography, what the poem looks like and stuff. Because this poem's a little bit overwhelming with how long it is, I'm only going to do that like at the end, okay? But this is the koepel, the dome. You don't need to, like, this is just background information. So die Vredefort koepel is in Vredefort in die Vrystaat en is een van die grootste impakkraters op aarde. In 2005 is dit as 'n wêrelderfenisgebied deur UNESCO verklaar. So it just says we can find this in Vredefort in the Free State. It's one of the biggest impact craters you can see like on Earth. And in 2005 it was made like a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, which means it has to be preserved for future generations because it plays an important role in like human existence. Okay. So a haiku, so I think it's just important to know what a haiku actually is. So dis 'n rymlose gedig, so it doesn't rhyme, bestaan uit 3 versreëls, so it consists of 3 lines. Elke haiku het 17 lettergrepe, so each haiku has 17 syllables. Dit gee die digter se gevoel op daardie oomblik weer, so it's sort of like it gives us the poet's immediate feeling at that point. Dit wil die leser toelaat om anders as die normale mens na die wêreld te kyk. So what it also tries to do is to make you look at the world, like to read it a little bit differently than you would. And I think it's quite important because if anyone, like, you know, if you look at this, like, dome, the Vredefort koepel, I don't think you would necessarily, like, think the way the poet thought, like, when writing this poem. Okay, and then just to show you an English example of a haiku so we can count the syllables, so you can see that each one has 17 syllables. I know, like, the format of the syllable, like how many syllables is in line 1, 2, and 3 is a little bit different in this poem than usually. But anyway, so let's just count them. So, a world of dew, and within every dew drop, a world of struggle. So there's 17, okay? So it's just to show you that it should be 17 syllables all the time, and as you can see as well, it does not rhyme. Okay, beskryf die koepel deur 10 haikus. So in this poem, we actually get a description of the like dome in the 10 haikus. Elke haiku verteenwoordig 'n episode in die skep en vernietiging van die erfenisgebied. So each haiku represents like a little episode in the creation and the destruction of the World Heritage Site. Saam vorm al die haikus die storielyn van die Vredefort koepel. So together it forms like the story of the Vredefort koepel, how it started, like, you know, how it became, what happened then as everything developed, what happened when humans came, and then how it got destroyed again. 10 het 'n religieuse konnotasies, 10 gebooie. So it's quite important. 10 has like a religious connotation. It refers to the 10 commandments. And so that means like throughout the whole poem there would be intertextualiteit. So that's when you refer to something without explicitly saying it. And the intertextuality is to like the Bible. Okay, so 1 meteoriet. Deur die donker klief 'n klipvuis en klap lewe uit die aarde uit. Okay, so we actually start with the destruction, with like the meteorite hitting Earth and then destroying everything that was there where it hits. Yeah. So 'n meteoriet vertel van die skepping van die Vredefort koepel, so it tells us about the creation of the Vredefort koepel. Die haiku kom ooreen met die skeppingsverhaal donker, so it just says like this haiku also correlates to like the creation story in the Bible, saying that at the beginning there was darkness and then there came life, something in that line. Intertextualiteit met die Bible, so there's intersexuality with the Bible. So donker, onverwacht, so it just came like in the dark, it was unexpected, and then suddenly, bam, the meteorite hits. Okay? Klief is kap of sny, so it just basically says that this meteorite, this big, like a rock, is like cutting through the atmosphere, okay, to hit Earth. So a clip face, if you translate that, it literally says like a rock fist. So dis 'n metafoor, 'n metaphor. Rots het die aarde soos 'n reuse vuise getref. So it just says that this rock, this meteorite hit Earth like someone being punched in the face. Okay. En klap lewe uit die aarde uit, so it says and hits life out of Earth. Personifikasie en woordspeling, so it's personification and a play on words, so it's also a pun. So letterlik, denotatief. I just write both there so you know like that they are synonyms, letterlik en denotatief. verwys na die vernietiging van die aarde, so literally like refers to the destruction of this little piece on earth. Figuurlik konnotatief verwys na die begin van nuwe lewe as gevolg van die vernietiging. So it just like refers to the start of new life because of the destruction. Okay, so although the destruction came, we know eventually there will be new life again. And the reason it's woordspeling is because obviously we refer to a klip face, which is a fist, and then klap, which is like slap, but can also be punch. Okay, so that's the play on words. Herhaling van KL klank, okay? So the repetition of the KL sound. So klief, klipface, klap. Beklemtoon die ontploffing / slag. So it's like emphasizing like the explosion. It's sort of it's like it's like a harsh-ish sound. So that's what it's just emphasizing the actual impact of the crater on Earth. 'n meteoriet tref aarde en in die slag word alle lewe uitgewis. So just to summarize the whole thing, it just says that a meteorite hits Earth and at that point everything is destroyed. Okay, all life that was there where it hit in Vredefort, destroyed. So twee wind, so then after the destruction, after the meteorite we have wind. 'n asemjaag oor yslike nagte en vee ons winternis weg. Okay, so wind verwys na die skepping van dag en nag, so it sort of refers to like the creation of day and night, because basically what happened is, although day was sort of there the whole time, because there was a lot of dust in the air, when the wind came and the wind sort of took the dust away, we could see sunlight coming back into this little area again. Kan na die tweede dag van die skepping verwys in the Bible, which is like light and darkness. Na die botsing was daar 'n ijskoue wind wat oor die donker aarde gewaai het. Also, like after this, there was like an ice cold wind that was like going over Earth, or at this point, like where it happened. So 'n asemjaag, so a breath is rushing, is 'n metafoor. Wind word met 'n asem wat jaag vergelyk, stormwind. So just saying here that the wind is like a breath that's rushing. Okay, so that's sort of like out of breath, you know, like that sound that it's making. Oor yslike nagte, so it's like freezing nights essentially, but yslike can have another meaning. So it's a woordspeling, so it's a play on words. Letterlik baie koud, so literally it means it's very cold. And figuurlik, belangrikheid van die dag toe die meteoriet die aarde getref het, yslik kan na die ystydperk verwys wat na die botsing aangebreek het. So two things. So literally yslik means like it's cold, but yslik also means big. Okay, so like a massive impact. It's talking about like the importance of the day the meteorite hits. Okay, and then yslik can also refer to the ice age, which obviously came after this actually hit. So it has quite like a few like connotations. Okay, and then just like yslike nagte is 'n metafoor, verwys na die stof wat die son weggekeer het, donker en koud. So it just like refers to like the yslike nagte, it's very cold and it's night basically the whole time at this point. It just refers to like the dust that basically blocked the sun. So the sun couldn't really shine through, so it was like dark and cold. Voel moedeloos en hartseer en daar is 'n verlange na die son, warmte en lig. So it just says that like if anyone like was there at this point, like there wasn't, but if there was, like we know when it's like very dark and cold the whole time that people tend to get like a little bit sad and stuff like that, because they like you miss the sun and the warmth and the light. And we also know that majority of the time, especially in South Africa, nature needs sun and light and water to actually grow, to actually do something. So at this point there still isn't really any life where the meteorite hits. Okay, and vee ons winternis weg. Okay, so just sort of like takes away our winter. Okay, so wind jaag die winterkou alleenheid weg. So it just says the wind that is essentially coming and moving away this dust and allowing the sun to come back in is chasing away the winter and the coldness and the like being alone. Is aloneness the word? I don't know. But it's just chasing that away. Okay, dan 3 water. So 3 we have water that's coming in. Obviously we know for most life to live, you need water. So this is sort of like an indication that life is going to come again at this point where the meteorite hits. So jy maak so silwer sonder woorde, droë woorde sin, wat my skoon verstom. Okay, so water. Die ys verander in water, vaste stof na vloeistof. So it just says the ice that was there because of the ice age is turning into water. So it goes from like a solid to a liquid. En dit maak die land skoon waarna die spreker stom geslaan is oor die mag van die water want dit omskep onvrugbare land na vrugbare land. So it just says, and what the water does is like it cleans the earth, and the speaker in the poem is like completely amazed, like shocked, can't even say anything because the power of water, it takes ground that was essentially infertile. Is that a word? I hope so. Okay. And it changes it into fertile land, showing us that life is going to come again just by the use of sort of water cleaning everything for this to be able to happen. Dit vertel vir die mens wat 2000 miljoen jaar gelede gebeur het. Die water vertel vir ons dinge sonder om woorde te gebruik, terwyl die spreker woorde moet gebruik of hom of haarself uit te druk. So it just says, it tells us a story. This water is telling us a story of something that happened such a long time ago, and the water does it through its actions, not through words. Obviously, where we want to sometimes, or the speaker in this poem wants to say something, they have to use words to vocalize what they are feeling, but the water just shows us exactly what it's going to do. Okay, and on skoon verstom, okay, is like completely shocked, but verstom basically means like you're so shocked that you can't say anything. So die spreker is sprakeloos, so it's woordspeling, a play on words. Die spreker is sprakeloos, maar die water praat, so the speaker is like out of words, but the water speaks. Obviously not literally, just like I said, through its actions. Die spreker is sprakeloos oor die kennis wat die water deur miljoene jare deel. So it's just quite shocked that, like the speaker can't really say anything because of the story that water is telling of something that happened such a long time ago. Water teken dat daar lewe gaan kom. So the water is a sign that life is going to come. Okay, 4 grond, so ground. Vang reën en son in die bakkant van jou lyf waar lewe kliphard klop. So grond. Beskryf die holte in die grond jou. So it's also once again like addressing the hole in the ground as you, talking directly to it. Okay, but at this point, it literally just talks about the ground and the hole in the ground. So vang reën en son in. So it says catches rain and sun. So personificasie, because literally it doesn't have hands to catch, okay? But it's sort of like, obviously if there's like a hole in the ground and it rains, the hole will become full, not true? Okay, so that's why it's catching rain and sun. Die reën wat in die koepel val met die son wat daarop skyn gee lewe aan die koepel, want die aarde het nou 'n hartklop. So just saying like the rain that's in the koepel, accompanied by the sun that's shining in there, gives life on the koepel, and now this like dome, this hole in the ground is starting to get a heartbeat, and it's because of the rain and the sun and the combination of those two with the ground. Die koepel absorbeer die water en sonlig wat help om lewe in die koepel terug te bring. So it just says that the dome, the hole in the ground, absorbs the light and the water, the ground, which essentially is going to help to bring life back into like the dome, into the crater. So die bakkant, so the bakkant refers to like, if you translate it, I know it sounds weird, but it's like the bowl hands. So, like when you put your hands together to form like a bowl, that's basically what it refers to. So die holte of gat in die grond wat deur die meteoriet veroorsaak is, so the bakkant just refers to the hole in the ground that was created by the meteorites. So die bakkant van jou lyf, so like the ball hand of your body. Metafoor, it's a metaphor. Die holte in die grond word 'n lyf wat nie net soos 'n bakkant lyk nie, maar die bakkant is. So it just says it doesn't only become like a body, the crater, like the hole in the ground doesn't just become like just the whole body, but it actually looks like the bakkant, okay, like these hands put together. It becomes that, the little thing that catches the water and the sun to essentially create life again. And then waar lewe kliphard klop, where life beats rock hard, but in this case it's spelled with a T, so it's rock hard, like heart, the one that's in your body. So woordspeling, so it's a play on words, gewoonlik kliphard, so usually it's kliphard, which is rock hard, but because there's a T, it refers to a heart, like the one that is there. So hart gee lewe, dis letterlik die hart van die koepel, maar is ook baie hard grond. So the play on words is the fact that a heart gives life, okay? And it's literally the heart of the koepel because the ground is absorbing the water and the sun to essentially create life again, but it's also ground, so it is hard. Eerste teken van lewe na die vernietiging in haiku 1 hartklop. So this is the first sign of life after the destruction, okay? Because they're talking about a heartbeat. So boom, and now we get tree. So veerlig dwarrel herfs van kultakke los en broei nog 'n lente uit. Teken van lewe, bewys van seisoene, daar is 'n speelsheid in die haiku. So it just says the tree is like a sign of life, and also what they describe in this haiku is the change of seasons, okay, which also indicates that life is sort of developing, if that makes sense. And then there's just like a playfulness in this haiku. So speelsheid is a playfulness in this haiku. So veerlig dwarrel herfs, okay, so it just, ja, metafoor, it's a metaphor, val lig soos 'n veer van takke af, verandering van seisoene. So it's actually just saying that like the leaves are falling very like lightly and slowly from the trees, okay, and this obviously is an indication of like autumn, which is perhaps going into winter, is when the trees lose their leaves. So it's an indication of the change of seasons. Van kil takke los, so it just says like sort of like empty/cold branches, but the kil is obviously used specifically, so it's personifikasie. Menslike eienskap, koud en onvriendelik. The reason it's personificasie is because kil is usually a word that we use to describe a person that is quite like cold and unfriendly. Okay, but now it's used to describe the branches. Pas goed by die beskrywing van die takke wat hulle blare afgooi en ook dat winter op pad is. So it's just really good to use this because it's a description of the branches like getting rid of the leaves and then also that winter's coming. So obviously kil meaning cold tells us that winter's coming. En broei, so broei is like hatch basically. So figuurlik verwys na nuwe lewe, figuratively like the trees can't actually hatch something, but it's figuratively refers to new life. Lente wat na die winter kom, hernuwing, because it says it hatches out a new spring. And obviously after winter or this very cold time, we know that spring is coming, okay? And usually like spring is associated with like life and flowers and animals and stuff like that. You know, some animals obviously come out of hibernation after this and stuff like that. So it just refers to the renewal, the hernuwing. Okay, says mens. And now after all this, that's the destruction, and then we had nature. In number 6, we have man, humans that are coming. So toestaan stof uit stof en oorheers die aarde op grond van sy bestaan. So mens, intertextualiteit met die Bybel, so intersexuality with the Bible. In die skepingsverhaal het die Here die mens op die 6de dag geskape. So in the story of the creation in the Bible, God created man on the 6th day. So toe, then, is wending or verandering, so there's a change in the poem. Usually when toe is used in a poem, okay, or maar as well, it's showing us that like change is coming in the poem. So we had nature, and then man came, and things obviously changed. So this refers to the stof uit stof en oorheers die aarde op grond van sy bestaan, which basically says, then out of dust, like man stands out of dust, and has control over earth based on like its own existence. So beskryf die mens wat geskep is en wat hom of haar die reg toe-eien om oor die aarde te regeer en te beheer. Okay, so it just says, it describes like humans that are created, and then humans allowing themselves to take control and be in charge of earth, although all the nature, like the nature was here before man came, yet we decided that it's okay for us to say what should happen to nature. And then stof uit stof verwys na die Bybel. Stof uit stof is obviously like a play on, in the Bible it says from dust to dust, so you are created by dust, and eventually when you die, you will become dust again. Okay, so this also means like it's ironie, ironic. Die mens is van stof gemaak, maar heers oor die grond waarvan sy of hy gemaak is. The reason it's ironic is because man is made from dust, yet, okay, man is in control over the thing that made it, if that makes sense. So we made from dust, yet we decide what happens to dust, although that's the reason we are here, or what we made of. Ons het hier dus alreeds 'n verwysing na die voorspelling wat in die laaste haiku gemaak gaan word. So yeah, because it actually there's a change. It says like nature, nature, destruction, nature, nature, then something is changing. We get an indication, like a prediction. So a voorspelling is a prediction. What's going to happen in the last haiku, or what is going to be said in the last haiku. 7 wêrelderfenis, so 7 is World Heritage, en ons koepel skeer allangs die perforasies van mensdom middeldeur. So sort of, yeah, just mentioning that, like it's a World Heritage Site, yet somehow we are destroying it, although we know it is important to us and to our existence and the history of the earth, yet we are destroying it. So wêrelderfenis, die Vredevoorkoepel is belangrik vir die mens, wêrelderfenisterrein. So it just says the reason something is declared a World Heritage Site is because it's important for us as humans. Okay, it's the World Heritage Site. Okay. So ons koepel, so our dome, behoort aan alle mense. Hier verwys dit na die koepel as belangrik, tog is die mens besig om te vernietig. So it says our dome, okay, because it belongs to all humans and it's important to all humans, yet we are destroying it, okay, which makes no sense. Skeer al langs die perforasie, so it says all along the perforations. So like, perforated paper is that small invisible little section at the top of like an exam pad that you can use to obviously tear the pages off easily. So perforasies is al langs die lyne, so like I said, it's this invisible line that's there. Gekraak of geskeer, mense is ook so onderskei, die verskeidenheid lyne wat die mense in die wêreld in sekere kategorieë verdeel en so ongelijkheid bevorder. So gekraak of geskeer also here refers to the fact that like as humanity, we are sort of like torn apart and we are broken. And it refers here to like those invisible lines that people in the world uses to like put people in certain categories, and also in that way promotes like inequality. Okay, so not only are we destroying nature, we also did a lot of bad things to humanity. Okay, and we divided humanity, and we have obviously a lot of problems because of that as well. So van die mensdom middeldeur, so yeah, it's very important. So mensdom, okay, if it was written as one word, it would be humanity, but obviously it's not, so it's woordspeling. It's mens-dom, which then translates to human and then dumb. So maar hier word dit met 'n koppelteken geskryf wat daarop dui dat mense dom kan wees. Ons vernietig die natuur. So it just says it's written with a hyphen, which emphasizes that humans can be stupid. We are destroying something that we deem important. We are destroying nature that we need to survive. And we're also separating people, putting people into categories, which is also ridiculous and therefore sort of destroying humanity. 8 besoedelings. Now we're going to pollution. Nou moet dier en duif hees van die rook en roet vir byl en treksaag boet. Okay? So besoedeling as gevolg van die mens. The pollution is here because of us as humans. Die mens het na miljoene jare in die koepel kom bly en goud begin myn. Die diere en voëls ly as gevolg van die mens wat die omgewing vernietig vir sy eie voordeel. So it says, after millions of years, humans actually start living in the dome. Obviously, people aren't living there anymore because it's seen as a World Heritage Site, but before this, people lived there because they were mining for gold. And it just says here in this like haiku that the animals and the birds are suffering, so a lay with the Y is suffering, because of humans that are destroying the environment for its own gain. Okay, so the reason humans are destroying it is for gold, and essentially gold means money, and that is why humans are destroying nature. And it says yes, so yes is a horse. Like obviously if you've been shouting a long time, your voice would be hoarse. So die yes, die voëls en diere se kele is seer van die rook en roet wat hulle moet inasem. So it just says the animals, the birds, their throats are sore because of the smoke and the soot they have to like, which obviously refers to the pollution, they have to breathe in. Die diere ly nou as gevolg van die mensaktiwiteite. The animals are starting to suffer because of human activity. And then boet basically means like a fine, like you're paying a fine. Die diere en voëls moet met hulle gesondheid betaal om in 'n plek te oorleef waar hulle eers was. So it's just saying that the animals and the birds have to pay, okay, with their health. The pay is obviously in like quotation marks because it's not literal but figuratively. They have to pay with their health to survive in a place that was actually theirs first. Like they were here before we were. Even if you look at the story in the Bible of creation, animals and nature was there before man was created. Okay. Okay, then we have dankgebed, so a thank you prayer. Hier ons paaie lê uitgeteer oor brûe met water onderdeur. So it just says, God, our paths lie paved out over bridges with water underneath. So dankgebed. Die spreker bedank God vir sy hand oor die mens se lewe. So here the speaker is actually thanking God for God's like hand in humans' life, like in our lives. Hierdie haiku impliseer dat die mens se lewenspad soms maklik is, te danke aan die ontwikkelinge wat ons lewens makliker maak. Natuur betaal die prys. So it just says this haiku sort of like implying that sometimes our path was made easy. Not like obviously, I think like more in the like physical sense, if that, like, yeah, not like necessarily mentally, because obviously we know mental health is like an all-time low, I think. But our roads were made easier because of the developments that have been happening, but nature has paid the price. So he's thanking God here, or the speaker's thanking God, saying sort of like what I believe is saying thank you for creating humans that essentially did make our lives easier. Because I do believe that obviously God didn't put the roads there. God made people smart enough to realize we need roads to travel easily. Okay, but obviously also know with this comes like exploitation of that like knowledge and doing things that is unnecessary, yet people are still doing it. Okay, so here it's apostrophe. So this just basically means that you're talking to someone who's not you, you're addressing someone who is not there. I'm like physically with you. So God word aangespreek, praat spesifiek met God. So in this case, like he's speaking to God. Okay, God is addressed in this, specifically God. Okay. Ons paaie lê uitgeteer, so our roads are paved out, basically. God het die mense lewe vir hom maklik of glad of gelyk gemaak. So it just says God made humans' life easy, smooth, even, for us. Like God sort of made our lives easier. Like I said, when you think of development in like, or on earth, like it made our lives a lot easier. So letterlik verwys na paaie wat geteer is. So literally it refers to the roads that are paved. Obviously we know roads as well. It's easy for us to get from point A to point B when we have paved roads and it's like an even road. Let's ignore and pretend like they're on potholes for now. But you know, it does make it a lot easier for transportation. Figuurlik. So they also use the word uitgeteer, okay, which basically figuratively in Afrikaans refers to something that is very thin or something that became thin because of like abandonment or illness. So verwys na iets wat maar geword het as gevolg van verwaarlosing of siekte, kan na die natuur verwys of mens wat geestelik moeg is. So using uitgeteer specifically saying that something has become thin because it has been abandoned or because of illness, it could figuratively refer to nature, that obviously we are depleting the resources we get in nature. It can also refer to humans that are sort of like mentally, emotionally, spiritually tired, okay? We are tired and we are sort of sick because of everything that's happening in the world. It's very difficult. As I've said, like obviously mental health is not at like, you know, most people struggle with mental health nowadays. Oor brûe met water onderdeur. So the brûe is letterlik, so brûe is bridges. Mense het brûe gebou om makliker te beweeg, so we build bridges to move around easier. We know this. If we didn't have bridges, if you think of like Galulis, obviously there's a bridge there. If we didn't have the bridge to connect you like to another road, everyone would have to use the same amount of traffic, would be 5 million times worse. So building bridges also helps us. You know, if you also think of places connecting something over a piece of water, we use the bridge because it's safer to use a bridge to cross than actually crossing in the water. Figuurlik, God sorg vir oplossings wanneer daar gevaar dreig. So it just says figuratively, God makes sure that there are solutions when there is danger. Okay. So we're not done with that one. So water onderdeur, okay, is woordspeling. So it's a play on words, uitdrukking and expression, like water under a bridge. So that's the play on words, is with the expression like water under a bridge. Beteken dat iets verby is, jy kan dit nie verander nie. So it just means that something is over, you can't really change it now. In this case, it can also mean like, you know, we can't really go back and fix everything we did to nature. I mean, realistically, let's be honest. Although we know nature is suffering, how many people would be like, okay, let's just take away all the bridges for nature to thrive? Like, humans won't do that. Like, we know we won't do that. So it's too late. We've destroyed nature. It's very difficult to go back and fix all of the destruction that we have caused. So this goes to paaie en brûe. Mense invloed op die omgewing word in teerpaaie en brûe beskryf. Onnatuurlike dinge. So it just says like humans' influence on earth is, or on nature or the environment, is described through roads and bridges, which are unnatural things. It doesn't naturally happen. And contrasteer met die natuur. So this contrasts the nature. Okay, we had things that are natural that we are talking about, contrast to what nature has done for us, natural things. Okay, so this is just sort of a summary for the whole thing, like the whole of 9. Die spreker bedank God vir die lewenspaaie wat vir die mens wag. So the speaker is thanking God for the life path that's waiting for us, or that we've already had. As 'n mens wel terugkyk, is die pad wat die mens geloop het nie altyd goed nie. But if we look back, the road that we have walked as humans aren't always good. And these are the things that we have done that's sort of like not good. I mean, some of the things, there are a lot of things we have done That's not good. But the first one is ontwikkeling het teen 'n prys gekom. So development came with at a price, okay? And nature's obviously paying that price. Prys van ontwikkeling is dat die aarde arm aan inheemse woude diere en unieke plante groei is. So the price for development is that like Earth essentially now, the environment is poor, okay, arm, in the sense that we don't have a lot of like natural woods like or trees and stuff like that. We're actually starting to plant things, trees, to make up for all the trees that we have destroyed, okay? So ons aarde is uitgeteer, so Earth is tired, okay? It can't anymore. Die mens het vooruitgang gebring ten koste van die omgewing. So we brought development at the cost of the environment, which obviously we know is kind of silly because we need nature to survive, yet we have destroyed it very, very much. Or badly. Sure, that didn't make any English sense. Oopsies. Okay, dan 10 is, like the 10th haiku is just called 10, 10. Face van swol en vuur gaan diskant ons groot ekskies weer kom asemhaal. So it just says, basically, well, let me just say 10. Maak 'n voorspelling oor die mense toekoms op grond van die mense optrede. Die spreker wonder wanneer die rots weer die aarde gaan tref. So here in 10 it actually just says, to restore everything that has been done, we need to be hit by a meteorite again. Okay, so it's making a prediction of humans' future on ground of our like behavior. And it just says here the speaker's wondering when the rock is going to hit Earth again, like knowing that eventually there will be another like disaster that's happening that's going to destroy life on Earth, and then Earth is just going to start again. So face van swol en vuur, it says fist of sulfur and fire, connotatief, so it's like figurative, verwys na die rots, meteoriet, so it refers to the meteorite, okay? Goddelike ingryping, face obviously refers, if you remember in like the first haiku, it said like a face-o, which referred to the rock hitting Earth with like a face-o, with a fist, like with a punch. So obviously here we're back at the meteorite. So goddelike ingryping, verwysing na die Bybelse vernietiging van Sodom en Gomorrah. So it just says like we need godly intervention. So ingryping is like intervention. And it refers to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, the two towns in the Bible. So hierdie stede is deur vuur en swol vernietig, en die spreker impliseer dat dit weer kan gebeur, want mense het teen die aarde gesondig, aardverwarming. So it just says these like cities, they commit a lot of crimes, like or sins back in in Bible times, and they were destroyed by fire and sulfur. And the speaker is implying that this should happen, or it can happen again, because as humans we have sinned against Earth, with the biggest one being global warming. Okay. So this is just referring what swol is, sulfur, liggeel stof wat met 'n blou vlam en 'n sterk reuk brand, 4 houtjies plus springstof om bomme te maak. So it just says, also just emphasizing like the sulfur and saying that it's like a light yellow like stof, I don't know what a stof is, like substance, that has like a blue flame, and it smells really funky when you burn it. So it refers to, obviously, I don't know if you match, like, or you light your matches, you'll see that it has like a little blue flame before it turns into like the reddish yellow orange flame, and it's also used to make some bombs. Okay, so it's just sort of emphasizing once again that this is the meteorite coming in. So diskant ons groot ekskuus. So this is just saying, die mens vra om vergifnis, maar dit gaan nie help nie. So we are like apologizing, but it's not going to help. Die enigste verskoning wat ons kan gee is om dood te gaan, dan sal ons ophou om die aarde te vernietig, en dit is God se manier om in te gryp. So it says, the only real excuse we can actually give, or apology we can really give, is by actually dying. Because that's the only time we will stop destroying Earth. And we know that is true. Like the only time Earth will be stopped being destroyed if humans aren't exploiting it for their own personal gain. And just saying that this is God's way of like intervening, or stopping us to do what we are doing to Earth. And then it says weer kom asemhaal. So it basically says like this is when nature will be able to breathe again, is when humans are not here anymore. So woordspeling, so it's a play on words. Wanneer dit as twee woorde in plaas van een asemhaal geskryf word, word haal die werkwoord. So when it's written as two words instead of one, because usually it would be one, and asemhaal, the whole thing would be a verb. But now it's written as two words, so the whole is the verb. So here it's sort of saying like coming to take breath. Okay? So die face van swol en vuur gaan weer die aarde tref om sy asem skoonlig te kom haal. So it just says the meteorite's going to hit to come and take its breath away. So essentially trying to get clean air on Earth again, because obviously pollution has ruined that. Daar word gesuggereer dat iemand of iets 'n tweede asem kry. So it just says, it suggested that something or someone something or someone is getting like a second breath. And in this case, in die geval, die natuur is referring to nature getting a second breath when Earth is, like when humans are no longer on Earth. Die spreker voorspel dat nog 'n ramp die aarde gaan tref om alles te herstel. So the speaker is sort of saying that, or predicting that another disaster or natural disaster is going to hit Earth to reset everything. Okay, so this is just like now at the end. So die gedig volg 'n sirkelgang. Die circle word met die 10 dae haiku voltooi. So it just says like it sort of follows a cycle. And in the 10th one, the cycle is completed, but then it starts again. So ons is in die 10 dae haiku terug by die begin waar die meteoriet die aarde getref het en alle lewe op plek vernietig het. So it just says, with the 10th haiku, we at the point where the meteorite needs to come, and then we start all over again with the destruction. Dit is egter ook die begin van nuwe lewe. Wanneer die mens dood is, sal daar weer nuwe lewe begin. So it just says, it is the start of new life though, because as soon as humans are destroyed by the meteorite, we know it goes like this. This is the cycle it goes. We know it's the meteorite. Everything that's alive in the place the meteorite hits dies. Then the wind comes, okay, to essentially move the dust away to allow sun to come in. Then we have water, which is the sun that life is going to come. Then we have grond, okay, and the water and the sun with the ground is creating life. And then we have our first official thing of life or form of life, which is a boom, a tree. Then we go to mens. And when man comes, everything starts sort of going downhill, because then we have wêrelderfenis, so it's declared as the World Heritage Site, but then we have besoedeling, which is pollution. Then we have the thank you prayer, saying thank you for everything, but knowing that the only solution is at then for the meteorite to hit again. And as soon as the meteorite hits again, we're back at number 1, and we'll follow the cycle again. Okay. So die thema, the theme, die natuur en die mense se impak op die natuur. So the main theme is nature and humans' impact on nature. Ons moet na ons wêrelderfenisterreine kyk en dit beskerm sodat vir toekomstige generasies boue kan bly. And also saying that we should take care of our World Heritage Sites and protect it to make sure that it's preserved for the next generation. Because that is why something is declared a World Heritage Site. It's supposed to be preserved for the future generations because it plays such an important role in our existence. So boodskap, ons moet die natuur bewaar, so the message is that we should protect nature. Stemming, so like the tone of the poem is beheerste, controlled stemming, so it's quite controlled, but it's soms somber. So sometimes it's quite like sad, and it's quite like sort of direct, saying that humans should die for nature to thrive again. And then this is like the whole poem, and remember I told you at the end we'll look at the typography. So uiterlijke typography, so what it looks like on the outside, is we have 10 strophes, elkeen 'n haiku, so we have 10 stanzas and each one is a haiku. But we cannot say that the whole poem together is a haiku, because that is not true. A haiku is supposed to be only 10 lines, 3 lines each, okay? So it's 10 stanzas and each stanza is a haiku. Therefore, it's 30 versjies, it's 30 lines. And since haikus don't rhyme, it is vrye vers. And then innerlijke typografie, so what happens inside the poem, in the poem. Hoe die Vredefort-koepel ontstaan het, word met die skepingsverhaal in die Bybel vergelyk intertextualiteit. So it just says how the Vredefort-koepel was created, and it is compared to the creation in the Bible. So it's intertextualiteit, intertextuality. Daar is progressie in die gedig kringloop, so there's progression in the poem. It's a cycle, kringloop is a cycle. So haiku 1 tot 5 vertel oor die natuur. So basically the first 5 haikus tells about, obviously the destruction and then nature. And then die 6de haiku mens stem ooreen met die skepingsverhaal. In the 6th haiku, it like correlates with the creation of Earth, saying on the 6th day humans were created. Haiku 7 tot 9 vertel wat invloed die mens op die skepping het. So like haiku 7 to 9 talks about the influence that humans have on this creation. En dan haiku 10 is 'n voorspelling van wat moontlik moet gebeur om die aarde te red. So it says haiku 10 is a prediction of what possibly has to happen to save Earth. Die meteoriet moet die aarde weer tref en alles van voor af begin. So the meteorite needs to hit Earth and everything needs to start from the beginning. Start from the meteorite hitting, wind, water, ground, etc. So yeah, everyone, I hope this explanation helps you. It's quite like an intense poem. I actually personally really like the poem because what is said about what we've done to nature is very true. But I hope this explanation helps you. And yeah, I will still add up an explanation of 2 other poems and then maybe like a few shorter summaries in some of the poems we'll see. But yeah, I hope this helps you. Tot ziens allemaal.